Design League e-learning portal where we help all the teenagers and creative minds to bring out their creativity so that you can achieve peace of mind, financial freedom, and career for life. My name is Amritansh Tiwari and I'm host for the day. और मैं बैठा हूं यहाँ पे, हमारे साथ आज के गेस्ट भी बैठे हैं. लेगेसी ऑफ 20 years in fashion industry is there, but let me introduce all three of us. So I will starting with the IDL Indian Design League is an online platform for all the aspiring designers and creative minds जो घर बैठे कहीं भी किसी भी समय YouTube पर हमारे ऑनलाइन पोर्टल पर आकर के अपने क्रिएटिव फील्ड के लिए कितने स्कोप ओपन है, पढ़ाई कैसे करनी है, क्या सीखना है, वो आकर के कर सकते हैं. एंड लॉकडाउन वाज अ ब्लेसिंग फॉर अस एंड दैट्स व्हाई इंडियन डिजाइन लीग इज टचिंग न्यू हाइट्स एवरी नाउ एंड देन with the support of all our students and all the mentors that join us instantly anytime anywhere for all my students. अमृतांश तिवारी एंकर फॉर द डे, जो पिछले 15 सालों से लगभग मैं स्टेज पे हूँ. फॉर्चुनेटली या अनफॉर्चुनेटली आज मैं वर्चुअल भी आ चुका हूँ काफी टाइम से. इट हैज बीन अ वंडरफुल जर्नी टिल नाउ एंड अपने बारे में ज्यादा लंबा नहीं खींचूंगा, इतना ही काफी है. एंड आई विल मूव टुवर्ड द लेगेसी जो मैं बार बार बोल रहा हूँ. वी हैव विद अस अर्चना मिस्त्री नागपाल. बड़ी ऑडियंस नहीं है बट आगे अकेले मैं ही हूँ, तो आई विल जस्ट गिव अ राउंड ऑफ अप्लॉज फॉर जॉइनिंग अस ओवर हियर ऑन टाइम यूट्यूब, जहाँ पे हमारी सारी ऑडियंस आने वाली है. अर्चना मैम, आपने 90s में एक फ्रेशर के तौर पे फैशन इंडस्ट्री में कदम रखा था और आज 2022 में 20 साल से ऊपर की आपकी लेगेसी मेंटेन हो चुकी है. ये 20 साल में आपने काफी उतार चढ़ाव देखे हैं, एक स्टूडेंट्स की तरह स्ट्रगल भी किया है. तो एक्सपोर्ट हाउस से लेके लोकल डोमेस्टिक डिजाइनर ब्रांड्स, उनके लिए भी आपने डिजाइनिंग वर्क में सपोर्ट भी किया है. पिछले कुछ सालों से बहुत नामी इंस्टीट्यूट से आप जुड़े रहे हैं, चाहे NIFT मुंबई हो, बैंगलोर हो, INFT हो, पर्ल अकेडमी हो, और आपने लोगों को लगातार ग्रूम किया है कि डिजाइन इंडस्ट्री में कैसे अपने कदम आगे बढ़ाने हैं, जिसके लिए नो मैटर छोटी संख्या बड़ी संख्या जितने भी लोगों ने आपसे इंटरेक्शन आज तक किया होगा, आई एम श्योर दे माइट बी ब्लेस्ड एंड दैट्स व्हाई यू आर हियर वंस अगेन. हमारे YouTube की लाइव ऑडियंस आपके साथ जुड़ी रहेगी अगले 2 घंटे तक, वेयर यू विल बी टॉकिंग अबाउट ऑल द थिंग्स दैट आर रिक्वायर्ड इन दिस इंडस्ट्री. अपने स्ट्रगल की कहानी भी आप बताएंगे एंड वी विल बी देयर विथ यू थ्रू आउट. सो मेरी छोटी सी स्पीच यहाँ पे खत्म होती है एंड द स्टेज इज ऑल योर्स नाउ.
Thank you, Tiwari ji, for this beautiful introduction. Good morning to everybody, each and everyone who is live here, who has struggled to get out of the bed on a rainy morning. It's the same in Mumbai. I'm sure Pune is also equally cozy. But thank you very much for joining this platform. Like Mr. Tiwari said, I would like to definitely find a lot of advantage. I have found a lot of advantage during this lockdown. When the world was shut, that was the only time, the only option that we could do is to open up our minds. You know, we could not honestly, creative people cannot honestly sit at home without opening up the minds and making the most of the free time. There's a free time to zyadatar tha nahi, but because our body was in that momentum of doing every household chore, including taking care of yourself, your health, cooking food, cleaning your house, and also squeeze out time to do your professional work. So we have become multitaskers in this lockdown, which was kind of a blessing in disguise. I myself have learned new skills during this lockdown, which I have taken it up into as a hobby profession. And now I'm a professional macrame artist. That is an art which I learned during the lockdown from a very dear colleague of mine. So there is no age to stop learning. Yes, I have been in the education industry. I would not really like to call it an industry because education is much more than the business that we inculcate in, but it is more of sharing your lives. I've been sharing my educative life. I'm still learning for the last 22 years now, 22 to 23 years. I graduated from NIFT Mumbai in 98 in fashion design. And I had the opportunity to teach in institutes while I was working in the industry. So I had this early exposure of the industry as well as the education of fashion. And over a period of time, I realized that I am a much better mentor than to be working in the industry. But industry working experience is also extremely important. That's how I guide all my students till date, that you need to work at least minimum 5 years in the industry poke your fingers into all the pies that are offered to you. Industry is definitely open for hardworking, dedicated, and talented students. So, and it's a big industry. So there is a lot which has been offered to you. It's upon you how you can grab the opportunity. So that was a little bit about me. I will be sharing more about my experiences throughout the presentation. I would encourage each of y'all to please pop up your questions while the presentation is on, because I am quite, I have always had my sessions on a very, very interactive base. So I would like to address your questions while my presentation is going on. If there is any curiosity, if there's anything that you need to know more or discuss, it has to be a two-way communication. I would love to take up your questions while the presentation is on. So I hope you enjoyed this session. I've tried to put together a very important aspect of the fashion industry globally and locally. Uh, this session is dedicated to fashion forecasting. I would like to share my screen. Okay, so is my screen visible?
Yes, it's visible, ma'am. Yeah.
Okay, great. Okay, so this is a fashion forecast capsule, a webinar which has been designed specially for IDL Pune. Okay, so these are the few pointers which I want you to actually pay a little more attention than what you would have casually known as what is fashion. So here is a little description. Fashion is the display of the currently popular style of clothing or accessory. Fashion is that type of clothing that is favored by a large segment of people at any given point of time and influenced by social, political, economical, and artistic media. What is style? Style is a particular design, shape, or type of apparel item. The style of the garment is determined by the distinct feature that creates its overall appearance. Style comes and goes. Fashion is always there in some form or the other. So we never fail. We are a community of people. We never fail to notice what is in style. We never fail to notice what is in fashion. We are of a breed where we socialize with each other. We kind of absorb what we see around us. So that is the easiest method of absorbing fashion and style into your system. It is not rocket science. You don't honestly need a book or a guided tour as to what is going to come in style. So once you see people around you, uh, close to you, you will definitely know what is in and what is not in. What is apparel? So apparel is any and all of men's, women's, and kids wear clothing is called apparel. What is a garment? An article of apparel such as a dress, a suit, coat, sweater, a scarf, pants, bermudas, shorts, all of these are called as garments. And what is the garment component? Any part of the garment like sleeves, cuffs, collars, waistband, pocket, zippers, these are all called as garment components. Now, being a fashion student, whether you're a fresher or whether you're currently studying in your second years or whether you're an alumni or you've already graduated, these are the terms, these are the words that you cannot disassociate from. These are extremely important, that you know what each thing means. You cannot deviate from this. Very, very important. It's just like how you know when you are learning a language, you begin with an ABC. ABC forms your words. Your words will form your sentences. Sentences will form paragraphs, and paragraphs will form a story. So even in fashion, You need to know your basics. You have to get your basics right. If your basics are not right, there are highly chances of you kind of getting lost in the entire process of designing a collection, or the entire process of design and development of your clothing line. What are silhouettes? Now, the reason why I'm not jumping straight to fashion forecasting is because every fashion before you understand what fashion forecast is, you need to understand the baseline of it. Fashion forecasting is based on these elements. So silhouette being one of the most important element into fashion forecasting. So in fashion, the term silhouette is used to refer to the outline of a garment or a dress and its overall shape. So different silhouettes are designed to flatter different body types and to match the formality level of different events. Now, when I say formality levels of different events, means that we need to choose a particular silhouette for a particular reason, for a particular outing, or for a particular event. So you will never see an air hostess walking around with a huge ball gown, right? With a silhouette which is like huge from the bottom and very fitted, narrow, and tight onto the top. Why we cannot choose a ball gown for an air hostess? Because obviously professionally it will not allow her to function smoothly in the alleys of the airplane, where she has to, if she's in a service department, so she obviously cannot be blocking her profession by wearing a silhouette which is not appropriate. Same way, when you see the nurses, they go for the straight, the straight kind of a silhouette, which is like a rectangle silhouette, which definitely helps them in assisting them for their professional work. So here are a few silhouettes which I have shortlisted. There are many, many more, but these are the few common ones which we can associate and relate to. The first is the hourglass figure, the perfect body type figure. That's called the hourglass. The inverted triangle, which is top heavy and bottom narrow. Next one is D triangle, where the broader part of the triangle is at the base and the narrow part is on the top. Then comes the rectangle or the H-line silhouette. Then comes the round, which is of course very fluffy and very voluminous. And then comes the diamond, which is very angular and sharp. So each body type needs to be addressed to with a particular silhouette. So when we say there's an inverted triangle, it is mainly recommended for people or customers or your client who has very narrow shoulders and a very broad bottom. So here you are enhancing the body type by giving a really nice, large, well-defined collar which is on the shoulder, or a really nice neckline which has an ornate neckline, which makes the shoulder looks broad, whereas the bottom part of the body is streamlined with the V of the triangle. The hourglass figure is obviously for the so-called perfect size 12 or a size 14, but nowadays with so much of uh, uh, embracing your body type, there is nothing as we call as a perfect body type. Every body is perfect, so there is absolutely no definition as to a perfect body, but a hourglass body is a silhouette which enhances every curve of the body. An H line is a very straight rectangular silhouette which mostly everybody can carry this kind of a silhouette, and so on. What are the seasons of fashion? Now, we've always heard that there are seasons of fashion, right? So fashion is split into 4 seasons. They're mainly spring, summer, fall, winter, or autumn, winter, resort, and pre-fall. So the 2 major seasons are spring, summer, and fall, winter. So spring, summer, which is also denoted as SS, starts in January and it runs until around June. Fall winter starts in July until December. So these are the 2 main seasons that we can actually see it globally. But in India, I'm talking about Indian fashion, where yes, there are designers, there are design houses which follow these two large seasons, but we also have a very popular season which is called as the wedding season, and that has its own charm and that has its own scale of business that a designer does round the year. So the wedding season actually definitely begins in the auspicious times of the year where the weddings are held, but the season doesn't happen on that time. The designers need to work a good 4 to 6 months prior to be ready with the collections for the brides and the bridegrooms and the families and everybody else who's attending the wedding. So actually it is around the clock season which we have adopted over the period of time. The resort wear is also a very new season which has come into action since in the last 8 to 10 years, where people are actually looking forward to their holiday season and to having a wardrobe mainly for the for as loungewear and as resort wear. So these are the two. There is a color palette which I have shown out here. Now I will also tell you about everything about the color palette, etc. So we have a spring summer 2021 color palette is what I've shown here just as a denomination, and here there is autumn winter which is 2022 and 23. So usually the colors for the summers are bright and pastels and a lot of whites and neutrals, and for the autumn winter, that is, or fall winter, it is usually the mid brights and the deep dark colors. This is what forms the color palette for the two main seasons. Okay, so now we come to the exact topic that this session is meant for, which is called as fashion forecasting. Now, fashion forecasting is a global career that focuses on the upcoming events, on the upcoming fashion statements, right? The fashion trends. So fashion forecaster predicts the colors, very, very important, the fabrics, textures, materials, prints, graphics, and accessories. So I'm going to be speaking more so over the spring summer 2023 throughout from now onwards. So these are the main aspects that a forecaster has to take into consideration for. I don't see any questions popping up, Mr. Tiwari. Is there a way to see if there are any questions being popped up?
We'll be posting questions, ma'am. You can continue, no problem. Yeah.
Okay, fine. Okay, so now when we speak about color, I'll just go back to the previous slide that these are aspects which has to be considered when one does fashion forecasting. So colors is the most important trend which needs to be addressed to. So now colors, it's all about colors are the most important aspect of fashion and design for that matter. Design not only into garments but even into your interiors, even into your product designing and many more. So Pantone, what are Pantone colors? I'm sure you'll have heard about it, but maybe some of y'all have felt curious about what it actually is and what it actually does. So here's a little brief about Pantone colors. So the founder is Mr. Lawrence Herbert and the headquarters is in New Jersey. So basically Pantone is the standard language of color. The formula developed by the Pantone is a spot color. And this means that the color is created from a palette of 18 basic colors, not with screens or dots. So now when we have, these are in the most layman language, I would like to tell you that Pantone colors is an internationally recognized color palette. So it comes in a formation like this. You will get these kind of booklets and there are these thick books one needs to. This is a very expensive medium of maintaining your color chart in your industry, in your design house or an institution. So we need to, every year they come up with their entire color palette for the season, that is your spring, summer and your autumn, winter. And if at all, say for example, I have taken up this English lavender as my, if we are working in an export house or even if we are working domestically, we need to have a color reference which is identical throughout the globe. So all you need to do is that so and so jacket has been made in, say, Pantone 173617 TCX English lavender. Everyone out there knows what to refer to. So one cannot go wrong in selecting the particular shade which has been uh, specially designed for that particular garment or the outfit. So this is the only globally recognized color coding that one needs to understand and follow. Okay, so somebody has asked how to predict trends in terms of colors, fabrics, and textures. You will know by the end of this presentation that we as people do not really predict the trends as such. There are bodies, there are institutions, and there are companies which are actually professionally handling this part of the fashion business. Who are the fashion predictors? I'm coming to that. Yes. Okay, so all about fashion forecasting. The concept applies to not one but all levels of the fashion industry, including the haute couture, ready to wear, mass market, and streetwear. They are responsible for attracting consumers and helping retail businesses and designers sell their brands. So it is a guideline which has been given by these companies which will help not only the couturiers, okay, not only the people who make these exclusive designer clothing where they make the clothing only one garment for one person or one client, or to the ready to wear garment business, or even the mass market and the streetwear. So they are responsible for attracting consumers and helping the retail businesses and designers sell their brands. So this is a guideline which is globally available. There is a platform where every design house, every designer have to refer to be in sync with the global fashion. So if you are seeing stripes which are going to be in, you will see that the stripes are going to be in throughout the fashion houses all across the globe. Color and style are the two most important aspects to forecast for most of the buyers and merchandisers. So be it an export house, be it a couture house, be it a ready to wear, be it mass market, be it streetwear. So we know that okay, neon is the color of the season, and everybody you will see will be wearing a neon t-shirt, will be wearing neon shoes, or maybe neon socks, maybe just an element. Of course, it depends upon the personal choice whether you want to really adopt what the predictors have predicted for fashion. Everyone has their own style, but at the same time, when you're running a business in garments and fashion, these guidelines help and take you a long way up. So these are some of the best trend forecasters. Now, as I speak, I would want you to either just take a picture of this particular slide. I want you to follow all of these on Instagram and also take a look at their websites, because these are the best trend forecasters in the industry. There is Euritech, there is WGSN, TrendZoom, TrendStop, Tobe TDG, Fashion Snoops, Pattern Bank, Trend Council, F Trend, Electric Trends, Moda Cable, and there are many more. So these are just a few which has been listed here. So WGSN is very, very prompt, and so is Euritech. They definitely come up with a lot of information. Now, most of these forecast websites or the broadcasters, they work on a membership format where the fees are really, really high. So it is honestly not possible for a fresh designer who has just stepped in the industry to honestly take up this membership, but you can always look forward with your institution who may have taken the membership, and you can access that through the links which have been provided and gain the information from there. But at the same time, if you can't do any of that, there is no remorse. very openly. They do come up with their posts and their stories very frequently through Instagram, which is a very nice way to keep up with what is trending all across the globe. This new technology, you'll have a very fortunate generation that you'll have so much to look, so much to source from. It's very easy. Sourcing has become very easy. Unlike our days when we were studying fashion in the 90s, there was no such output where we could very casually just go and browse through and know our trend points. We used to go to, obviously, NIFT has a beautiful library and a resource center where we do have certain trend books. But to get the latest season trends, we used to actually go to AEPC, that is Apparel Export Promotion Council. So this is the council where we used to go with our identity card as Niftians. We were allowed there. We used to pay a certain fee to enter their source bank or their little library where we used to take pictures. We were allowed to take pictures there. Sorry, the pictures were not allowed. We didn't have phones with had pictures. We used to take photocopies, the basic black and white photocopies, and pay a steep amount of money to gain that information. So we used to get these black and white photocopies from their in-house photocopier, pay an X amount, come back with all that data, and then work on our design projects for the term or for the year. So this is the kind of hardships that we have gone through being the 90s students. But you guys are very fortunate that everything is available just a click, or just at the click of a button on the screen, anywhere and everywhere. So make the most of these setups that have been offered to you, and there is no way that you cannot know what is in trend, because everything is available. Everything is available on is broadcasted on the social media and on their websites. So you guys are fortunate, and make the most of it. I'm sure you will. So we have another question coming up. How are color palettes decided for season, winter, summer, etc.? Which factors determine the color palette? So yes, of course, like I said, the season matters. Like the most common or the broadest category of colors for the spring, summer are your soft pastels and your bright colors, which you, summers are basically where everything is blooming, the weather is nice, you want to be outdoors. So once you want to be outdoors, you definitely want to be in comfortable clothing, you want to be in comfortable colors, you definitely don't want to wear dark blacks and maroons and deep navies. You will obviously want to be in nice calm pale yellow and a blush blue and those kind of colors. More of whites is what plays a very big role, because white is actually a cool color to wear, and black is the color which absorbs the heat. So nobody, you will never see people wearing black on a summer day, right? So there are prints which are popular in the spring, summer. I'm coming to that point as well. And in winters, where everything is dark and everything is cozy and everything is much slowed down, that's when the dark colors seep in. So you do have your mid brights and you do have your deep dark colors, which are very popular for your winter seasons. So yes. Okay, so now I have put my presentation for the spring summer 2023. There is a lot of in-depth studies which goes on to studying a particular season. It is a very vast subject and a very fascinating one. So you can just to do an exercise on your own. I would like you to take, for 2023, I did get little restricted information online for the silhouettes and for the kind of clothing. But I would like you to take this exercise on your own of any of the previous seasons. It could be 2017, 18, spring, summer, or autumn, winter, or it could be even 2020, 21. You choose a season and you come up with a very brief presentation, and I would love to see what you all can collect together. All those four aspects, that is your color, your fabric, your texture, and the silhouettes. These are the four things which I want you to study. Come up with a very brief presentation and email to me or share it to me on my Instagram handle. I would be very, very happy to see what you compile and what you understand from this entire lesson which you are learning today from me. So here is spring summer 2023. I am putting information, I've given information here about the colors. The spring summer 2023 color trend focuses on more positive and saturated hues. Now, what do you understand by a hue? Hue is basically the most original form of a color. So when we say red is a color, so we also say red is a hue. So the concentrated or the saturated form of a color is called a hue. I hope you all are aware of what are tints and what are tones and what are shades of a color. So I'm just going back to your basic, to your most elementary information about colors. So colors, as we all know, we have three main original colors, that is your red, your blue, and your yellow. So these are the most original form of colors which cannot be made by mixing anything. So these are the most original. So that is why they are called as the primary colors. When you mix two primary colors, you get one secondary color. Okay? Two primary colors is equal to one secondary color. You will get three more secondary colors. So that is your orange, your green, and your purple or your violet. So when you mix your yellow and red, you get your orange. When you mix your yellow and blue, you get your green. And when you mix your blue and red, you get your purple or your violet. Now the third stage is when you mix one primary with one secondary color, you get your tertiary color. You will get a formation of 6 tertiary colors. So you have your 6 primary, 3 primary with 3 secondary and your 6 tertiary. This together makes your 12 color wheel, which you all must have studied on day 1 of your art class, whatever you have studied, whether it is fashion, whether it's interiors, whether it's product or any kind. These are the basics of color theory which one cannot miss out on. Like I said, you learn your alphabets and then your words. Similarly, you need to know your base, right? For your colors, your color theory is must when you have to work with colors through your design career and through your design process. So after experiencing a destructive pandemic, color can be a carrier to convey the power of optimistic lifestyles and also a healing therapy that crosses regions, races, and even cultures. So basically, they're trying to say that after the entire lull which the industry and which the mankind has seen over the last 2.5 years, people are coming out with extravagant colors only to portray that, oh, we have been suppressed for the last 2 years and this is how we are coming out and this is how we are liking it and we are having fun. So these are colors are basically fun. There's one more fascinating fact about colors which I would like to share is that black and white, these are the neutrals that one needs to work with along with whatever color palette that you work with, black and white. But also I would like to tell you that black is not a color and white is not a color. So black is the absence of light and white is the presence of light. Right? So these are two very, very fascinating notes which I have learned from my professors at my college, and it has stayed with me throughout. So this is the charm of learning from a fascinating teacher, that certain things which they say, and certain things which they teach stays with you for life. I hope I can leave a small mark like that on you today, on each one of you today, where you remember me for good reasons and remember something beautiful from this presentation, from this experience which I'm sharing with you all. So digital lavender is dedicated as the color of the year 2023. So digital lavender, now these are of course not coming up from your dictionary or from your any kind of reference or referral book, but this is definitely coming from the fashion forecasters which are globally accepted. The other four colors for the spring summer palette are sundial, a luscious red, tranquil blue, and verdigris, that is the green. So these are the four colors along with the beautiful lavender, which is shown out here, which is going to be popular for the next season. These seasonal, the top seasonal colors, they actually are a little carry forward from the previous season. So the previous season, which is like the current season of this year, which we are actually witnessing at the moment, is the very peri color. You all must have heard about the very peri, this beautiful magenta and the purples, which has been doing the rounds of runways and catwalks. So this is a transition of that color. So now you tell me, do we don't really change our wardrobes every year because so and so color is popular this season? We don't honestly really do that. But the fashion houses and the design houses, the couturiers, the mass market, they have to do it because they need to sell that. They need to sell what has been predicted. One more thing is when I say that what the base of what the base of color theory is, that you need to know your tints and shades. Okay, so when I say pink is a color, you cannot say pink is a shade of red. When we add white to a color or a white to a hue, you get the tint of that color. Okay, so your lavender is a tint of purple, where else a dark violet will be a shade of the violet color, the purple color. So when you add white to a hue or a color, you get the tint of that color. When you add black to a particular color or a hue, you get the shade of that color. So tints and shades, again, are very important element in knowing your color theory. So pink is not called ये तो pink मेरा favorite shade है, नहीं ये shade नहीं है, ये tint है. Okay, so these are the few fashion terminologies which you need to imbibe in your system and only talk in that lingo because you are a fashion student, because you are an entity in the fashion industry. You cannot be using your terminologies wrongly. You need to know your terms correctly. Your vocabulary in fashion is very, very, very important. Then we have the spring summer 2023 fabrics. I have a question here which I would like to read. How to research for deciding a theme. Okay, now theme is absolutely upon you. Once we have your baseline of what colors are going to be popular this season, what textures are going to be popular, which are the fabrics and which are the silhouettes, then the theme decision is purely upon the designer or the design house and the design team. It is an open, absolutely open platform. Honestly, the forecasters will never give you a theme, otherwise there will be no variety of designs. Okay, so what you do with this information will decide how successful your design line is in the industry, right? So when, just like the English language, when these are the words, these are the alphabets, you form the words. Okay, now these are the words. Now what you do with those words will decide how successful your poem is, or how successful your story is, or how successful your script is. Similarly, how and what we do with these guidelines which has been given to us by the fashion forecaster is upon the designer's style. Now, what is the theme that he or she wants to adopt is completely upon his caliber and his grace as to what has to be done with these things. So I hope I've answered that question well. So we have Animism thematic fabric trend is for the season. So very, very curious topic to ponder over. It's a beautiful trend which is coming up where everything is very, very organic. So the colors in the theme animism are sourced from the nature. And nature is in abundance, isn't it? There is so much nature has to offer us endlessly, endlessly, literally endlessly. There is no end to what the nature can offer to any design mind. So the minimalist and gentle spectrum suits the mentality. The evolution, not the evolution, but the evolution of a new natural ingredient and processes in the performance textile sector continues to develop. So from nuts to food waste, corn, sugar, beet from biosynthesis, natural insulation and recycled lightweight down, there is no limit to the developments which are emerging. So the popular fabrics will be denim and organic and recycled fabric. So this entire evolution is about preserving your nature, taking everything that nature has to offer and adopting that into our clothing and our accessories. So it's a very, very fascinating phase that we are moving towards, dumping your polyesters, dumping your synthetic man-made fibers, and embracing everything that nature has to give us. So there are, you must have heard of fabrics which can be fibers and fabrics which can be derived from banana. Have you ever heard of banana fabrics, banana fibers? Silk is, of course, the most ancient natural form of fabric. Cotton, which is linen, next, and so on. So there are so many natural fabrics and natural methods of developing fabrics, which is going to be trending in 2023. And it's a very, very exciting season, which I'm looking forward to as to what globally designers are going to do with this guideline. We have another question. Question from Ms. Aditi. She's asking what makes a good trend forecaster. So a lot of study and research makes yourself a good trend forecaster. Being aware, doing all your research from the previous forecasting seasons which have been forecasted earlier, and at the same time being in sync, reading about it definitely helps a lot, being in sync. So I would like you to actually download these few apps which are paid apps. One app which is called as a Magster, Magzter, which is a paid app which you can actually subscribe to various magazines all across the world, and keep yourself updated as to what people are doing and where the fashion economy has been, the history and what is going to be coming up. So you need to be definitely reading a lot to understand and to become a trend forecaster. And of course you have to definitely work with a company which has already been into this business for a long time, right? Okay, so organic is what is going to be coming in next season. On to the next, the textures. Of course, now when we spoke about everything being organic and nature based, so obviously all the textures which you see in nature is going to be adopted. So that's another key line which we cannot escape if we have to work on a particular season or we have to work with a particular forecast. Okay, so here the textures which has been showcased here are the wood, raffia, that is a kind of a fiber which comes out from the palm trees. There is jute, there is limestone, cane will be big. These are the textures. I'm not saying these are the materials which are going to be used in making of the garments, but the textures, the feel. What is texture? Texture is anything which is 3D, which you can feel. So textures can be smooth, textures can be rough, they can be fuzzy, they can be furry, they can be 3D in terms of just like a drop kind of a feel. So anything which you can feel tactile, which you can feel with your fingers, and also the visual textures. There are many elements which can be given to a particular fabric which can give you visual texture which will be absolutely smooth. But here we are also talking about the textures which are 3D. So there is something very relaxing about going back to simple textures and materials and getting rid of the complexity. So we are moving towards a very beautiful, simple world of fashion in the next year. So, which is trending everywhere, simplicity, raw, minimalistic, and to the grassroots level, to the most basic level. So, we are moving towards basics, which most of us have forgotten. Everybody wants to do things which are over the top. Now we are coming back to the basics, back to the ABC, and that's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to it. I'm very excited with this trend forecast which is coming up. Next comes the print. So digital inspired prints, quiche cartoon themes, and whimsical fantasies merge to bring a new level of creative print design. Right? So we have prints like your stripes, which again comes from the nature. Now, when I'm talking about stripes, one will say, oh, stripes have always been in. But here we are talking about a color palette which is for spring summer. We are talking about the texture of the stripes which you're going to get maybe from the straws or maybe from the hay, maybe from the jute threads. And that's how you're coming towards a pattern which is of stripes, whether it is vertical, whether it is horizontal, diagonal, zigzag. So these are all line formation or any kind of a repeat of a print. And then of course there are these organic floral prints which has always been popular for the spring summer season. So there are, like we say, fashion is a cycle, right? So it is a wheel. So there have been phases where these prints were popular, say about 5 or 7 years back, and they're coming back. So it is a wheel. Fashion is a cycle. It keeps coming back. We know that, okay, the anti-fit jeans which were popular once upon a time, they are coming back. So everything comes back. What goes, it comes back. Same is the trend for the prints. So these can be digitally inspired prints, or it can be handmade, or whichever other medium of printing that you would like to do. So what are the different kind of prints? I would like to emphasize a little bit more on that. So the basic or the most uh, original method of print is use of block print, where we make the designs on the block and we dip dye it into our organic dyes or the chemical dyes and we print. So the way the print has been repeated gives you a different design each time. You must have learned this in your basics of art about the different kinds of prints, the different repeats of prints that determine the fabric surface. Then you have your screen printing, where a screen is made like a stencil, which has been used manually or even with a printing machine. So there is a possibility that you have screens which will have multiple screens depending upon the number of colors which are used for that particular screen. Then comes your tie dye, which is again a print, again a very manual and a very eco-friendly method of dyeing your fabrics and getting prints with dye. That is again with your organic dyes or with your chemical dyes. That's another method of printing. Your batik, your bandhani, your all the other methods are definitely adopted and always in trend. When we talk about prints in India, there are very few things which really go out of fashion, if you would have seen. Like bandhani will never go out of fashion, right? It is a print. It is a hand-dyed print, but it never goes out of fashion. Same is the case with your shibori or with your batik prints. They never go, or the block prints. They never go out of style. So that is a charm that we Indians have over everything else, which is globally, that we embrace every style at any given point of time. We are very happy to wear things which were in fashion 4 years back, even now, and we don't honestly think twice about adorning it on ourselves. And then, of course, there is digital prints, which is huge, which is a very big industry now, where there are ample number of options that one can play around with and the kind of effects that one can give with digital printing. So that is very popular and it is here to stay. So that goes for prints. Any questions? I would be very happy to take up questions. I hope you all are uh, alert and with attention with me. With so many influencers wearing tie-dye clothes, do you think it will be the new trend? Absolutely, yes. Tie-dye is here to stay. Like I said, tie-dye is a very, very ancient method of printing fabrics or coloring your fabrics to be very to be explaining it in very simple words. Tie-dye has honestly never gone out of fashion. So tie-dye is here. Yes, influencers are nowadays a very popular medium to share information to the lay people, to the audience. They have a very, very large audience, which is again a very fortunate thing that you guys are living in this world where there is so much to get information from. There is so much. So make the most of what is being showcased to you all in the right way. So these are a few styles which I could lay my hands on. Uh, you will get to see a lot of brights, pastels, very nice, simple straights. So it's a very fuss-free kind of a silhouette direction, very easy going because it is eco-friendly, because it is everything to do with nature. We don't want to be restricted in very fitted clothes or very ornate sleeves or a very ornate collar. It's a very, very easy style which is going to be doing the trend rounds next season. It's going to be comfortable. It's going to be minimalistic, which I'm repeating myself, and it's going to be very cozy and nice on the body to wear. Mr. Tiwari, could you please run the first video? I would like to showcase one of the designers who has showcased his Spring Summer 23. So that now this is the right stage for you to see a runway of 2000 Spring Summer 23 so that you understand, okay, what has been adopted and what has not been adopted. Okay, so can we just have that video run through, please? Mr. Tiwari? Yeah. Okay, so I would like you all to see this video and understand what it is. Thank you for running that video for me and for the rest of the audience out here. So what we saw was Kenzo's Spring Summer 2023 collection, which was showcased just about a couple of days back. So all of this is available on digitally on your screen. It's very easy, which was a dream during our times. It's just a button away, just a click away. So I'm repeatedly telling you all, please keep your antennas up and keep your eyes open, and please be very receptive to the kind of information that is being offered to you at this point of time. So this entire collection which you saw was all about stripes, thick and thin stripes, colorful stripes, all of that, and the play of a lot of white color was there, right? So I'm going to share my screen again, get back to the presentation. Okay. Tie-dye. Somebody asked about tie-dye, and here we have. So tie-dye is here to stay. Coordinates are here to stay for a long time in your solid colors and your pastel colors. It's always going to be there. It's super comfortable. It's eco-friendly. It looks gorgeous, and it is extremely trendy. So when we say trendy, what is trendy? Only when you see other people wearing, and when you see a clan of people wearing, it becomes a trend. So basically we are a race, we are the human race, where we tend to get influenced by what the others are doing, and that is how the message spreads all across, and that is how it trends, right? So as simple as that. Here are some more styles which are going to, now these are also lines, okay? So these can be, where do you think the inspiration for such wavy lines could come? It could come from the wood texture, which I showed you in the beginning. It could even come from the ripples of the water, which is again nature. It could come from the veins of a leaf, maybe. And these are all the bold and subtle floral prints which are going to be popular the coming season. I would like to take a question which has come now. One moment. Priya Shinde is asking, what is short-term forecasting and it focuses on? So there are various portals, there are various websites which also offer this kind of membership where you have to pay an X amount and they give you the information which is going to last you for another 6 months. So this is what the short-term, there is no short-term courses or coaching which is available, but there's a lot of information that they part with at an X amount of membership fees. So all those portals, which all the websites which I showed you in my previous slide, I will go back to that slide, which I want you all to explore their websites and probably take up a membership so you can take up these kind of weekly updates which they will keep sending you before they showcase it publicly. So if you're paying for that membership, you will get that information before the general public who gets it for free on Instagram or on any other website. So you can definitely look up to that. Okay, can we have the second video, please? We have the Spring Summer Menswear collection by Dior, which I would want you all to again notice. What are the silhouettes? What are the colors? What are the prints, if at all? Please take a look at it and enjoy the video.
Yes, wherever I can. But I have tried to arrange my life, painting life, according to the weather. In the winter, I can only paint up till about 4 o'clock. Light goes so early. But in the summer, I can go out much later. You will find me if you want me in the garden, unless it's pouring down with rain. You will find me if you want me in the garden, unless it's pouring down with rain. You will find me if you want me in the garden, unless it's pouring down with rain. You will find me if you want me in the garden, unless it's pouring down with rain. You will find me if you want me in the garden, unless it's pouring down with rain. You will find me if you want
Thank you for running the video for us. Thank you. How fascinating was that collection? Beautiful. I don't know about you all, but I always get excited when I see designers' work, when I see which is forecasted, and that kind of energizes me to come up with design of any kind with these guidelines. And I actually, my fingers actually itch that, okay, yes, now this is my guideline and this is what I want to create. I want to put these elements together and come up with my own line. So this is the kind of enthusiasm that I want each one of you to imbibe in yourself. Once you get the guideline, yes, you must always have a rough pad. You must always have your sketchbook with you and always note down your ideas then and there. Make notes, put your pointers, make your web, make your mind mapping, and you need to keep adding details to your work. So all of this is going to help you towards a beautiful design process at the end of it. So as far as my presentation goes, that is done. Let me just check once more if there is any slide remaining. Okay, that is it. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and we are here to chat with each other. Please throw up your questions. I will be very happy to take up your questions. So what did we see from okay, so which silhouettes were used in this video? Somebody has asked. Well, these are the answers which I would like to get from you after running through this entire presentation and understanding what fashion forecasting is all about. This was an exercise rather where I would want you to understand as to what was adopted. So when we get these guidelines, now when we have the direction towards prints, there may be five print directions which are given. But we, as a designer, we don't want to take up all the five elements. We maybe want to just work with one. Or maybe we want to work with just one particular color palette. So we are free to choose that. We are free to mix and match. We are free maybe just to work with prints and not work with any kind of texture at all. We are free to not choose prints and just work with the textures, maybe solid, maybe just work with the solid colors, maybe just work with color blocking. So it's totally upon you as to what you make out of what has been offered to you by the forecasters. So here, the Dior collection for Spring Summer 2023 was more about a rectangle silhouette that is more like a boxy silhouette, very easy fit silhouette, no fuss. Like I said, minimalistic look is what is going to be popular next season, and that is what this collection was all about. Tone on tone kind of colors, tint on tint kind of colors. You had your pastels, you had your soft colors, you definitely had the lavender, you certainly had the digital prints which were in with the flowers, and the whole ambience of the entire setup was beautifully done with the castle behind and the beautiful field of the flowers. So that brings up the essence of the spring and very beautifully showcased, right? So these are the modes which will actually kind of trigger your creative juices and help you shape your collections and your projects well. So we have another question. So I've just gone through the colors, the textures, patterns in the video. I would encourage you all to come up with more videos on your own. Do it as a homework or do it as an assignment for yourself. Every day, at least view one particular runway, one particular collection of any designer, globally, domestically. Study the entire collection, make your notes, and then come up with your own design ideas based on that. I'm not saying copy. I'm just telling you to take the reference. Okay, if this is what this designer has done, what would I do if these were the elements which were given to me? So you come up with your collection of say 5 garments, just sketch down your work. It could also be print development. If you are seeing a designer's work which has a certain kind of print, you may get inspired by that, you may get a direction from that, and you come up with your own prints which can then be developed digitally or which can be developed with your blocks or screens or any other method of printing. Somebody has asked for my story and my journey. I will come to that towards the end. I would like to take more fashion oriented or the presentation oriented questions first. My God, everybody is curious to know about my story. Okay, any more questions related to fashion forecasting? What is short? Priya Shinde is asking this question again. I think I've already addressed that question, that you need to take up membership, you need to enroll membership or subscriptions to these particular portals. WGSN definitely has an online option where they send you their newsletters and their articles every week, and you can be updated with information about the forthcoming trends. At the same time, on Instagram or LinkedIn or any of these websites, you can definitely follow their handles and follow their profiles and definitely get the information. But do remember that this is free of cost, so you're not going to get it immediately fresh from the oven. You are going to get it once the audience who has paid for that particular subscription has already received that information, and then they filter out that, and then they come up to the open public where they are offering this information for free. As a fashion designer, which skills should I develop to become a fashion forecaster? Your skills of learning, your skills of keeping your antennas alert at all times, your skill of absorbing information. Very, very important. Not only to become a fashion forecaster, like I said, that there is no particular course which is going to tell you to become a fashion forecaster, but these skills of being aware, of analyzing, of developing, of processing is definitely going to make you a person fit or a candidate fit to be working with a fashion forecast company. Right. As a professional, which is your most popular color palette and why? Okay, my most popular color palette has always been whites and blacks and the neutrals and the soft colors. This has been because that kind of goes very easy on me. I can mix and match with a lot more other colors, and it can complement the neutrals which I'm wearing. Also, one more important thing which I think I missed out on, when you decide your color palette. Okay, so if you're talking about, say, a lavender and a red and a yellow in your color palette as per your theme. So say, for example, if your theme is forest, which has all the forest colors with a certain pop of colors, you always have to neutralize your palette, your color palette, with a neutral color. So which are the neutral colors, and what do you understand by neutral colors? Neutral colors are colors basically which complements every other color. It kind of scales it down, it kind of balances the color palette, right? So you have your neutral colors like your black, your whites, your grays, your browns, white, beige. These are your kind of nude colors. These are the colors which are neutral, which has to be mixed matched with whatever color palette your theme or your mood board suggests. Right, so once you have your trend forecasting in place, you choose a particular theme, you come up with your mood board, you come up with your theme board, you come up with your storyboard, your color board, your texture board. So these are the different stages, or these are the different processes to a successful design. So this is what a design process comprises of. Once your trend is in place, you need your mood board, storyboard, color board, texture board, print board, your embellishment board, and all your laces and trimmings also then go in place. And that's how you get your entire base ready, and that's when you begin with your design process. If you could bring back one theme with reference to patterns and garments, which theme will it be? Florals being my most favorite. I am a person who loves to absorb everything from nature. So anything to do with nature inspires me. It always takes me to create n number of designs. I am also into digital painting. I do digital painting. Most of my concepts or most of my artworks are based on nature. It could be a creature, it could be water, it could be the mountains, it could be the clouds, it could be leaves, or even the soil. There is a number of topics which can take my interest. Yes, I hope, and everything which is organic, everything which is beautiful and subtle and minimalist. That is my style, and that is what I adopt at all times. How to convince clients about the current trends? Oh, that's an interesting question. So clients are always going to come to you because why do clients come to you? Why do clients come to take a consultation from a designer? Because they themselves are not confident with their choice of colors or textures or fabrics or styles. So the ball is in your court. You need to give them a perfect presentation as to this is what is going to be popular the next season or this season. Obviously, you're going to get a client, they are going to be coming to you to get their garments made for this particular season. So you have to keep your presentations ready. You have to keep your fabric boards ready. That these are the fabrics, and these are the colors which are going to be in style. Your presentation has to be absolutely crisp and convincing. And of course, your skills of talking to your clients, being receptive to what they like is also very very important. You cannot simply dictate a client that आपको यही पहनना है और आपको यही print अच्छा लगेगा. No, you have to embrace the client's choice as well and try to tweak around that and try to fit into what is in trend and come up with a design which is specially curated for that particular client. And certainly once they see that confidence in you, once they see their crispness in your presentation and the fullness in your presentation, and once they know how much you know about the subject, I'm certainly sure that any client will be very happy to be making their clothes with you. So you have to obviously have the skills of talking beautifully, not being arrogant, not being uptight about accepting what is coming from the client and what the client prefers to, right? So I hope that has answered your question. Okay, so now I think I can speak to you about my journey and my choice of becoming a person to do with design. So I am from Mumbai, born and brought up in Mumbai, and I chose design as a career after my 12th grade of studying home science with arts in Mumbai University. So design has always played a part of me in my growing up years. I would not say that I wanted to be a designer since I was a kid, because that was not so. I was quite involved in anything to do with design, be it sketching, be it just playing with the crayons, be it playing with bits of fabrics which were scraps in the house, or even we had a very interesting subject in our school which was called needlecraft, and that was the year when computers were very recently introduced in our school. So being from the background where I wanted to always do something with my hands and with my creativity, I obviously chose needlecraft over computers, which many people would laugh at, but I felt very happy doing the craft with my fingers and with my mind and with the colors and the threads which I had, which I still do. So that is what my inclination towards design was. And in the year 1995, after I cleared my 12th grade, that was a very fortunate year for me, because NIFT had decided to spread its wings and come up with centers in the four metro cities of our country. So that was Mumbai, Calcutta, and Chennai. Yeah, if I'm not wrong. So these are the four centers that they come up, and the admissions were opened up, and that's when I pounced on that opportunity. At that time, there was definitely no social media. There was an advertisement in the newspaper which grabbed my attention, and that's how I applied for it. My journey for preparing for the NIFT exam was obviously a tedious one. Again, it was all self-motivated, and the dedication which I really had to study design in the top school of India, which is NIFT. And I prepared myself. I did practice a lot of sketching, and the NIFT entrance exams is not only about being creative, but they also test your aptitude with your English and your mathematics and logic. So that is also what went into the practice mode at that time. And when people ask, oh, how did you get through NIFT? Actually, I'm the wrong person, because I got through in the first go. So I honestly do not know the hardships that many people go through to get into NIFT. So I consider myself very fortunate and very lucky, where I could clear my entrance exams, and which was followed. Once you clear the entrance exam, you're obviously called for a personal interview with a panel of very esteemed people in the industry, very senior people in the industry, and of course the faculties from NIFT Delhi. They were there, and the way, and we also have a test called as a situation test, which we have to make a project then and there. And yeah, I would like to share that that project of mine was also based on nature. So there was the word which was given to us as a clue to come up with a project was growth, and they had given us some craft papers and sticks and glue and stuff like that to build your project. And what I did was I simply constructed three flowers in its growing stage, with a bud and a half bloomed flower and a fully bloomed flower, which was on three sticks, and I mounted it on a board. And I thought, while I was going through this test, and I could also see that my neighbors were coming up with this very, very elaborate stuff. And I honestly, and that project was followed by a personal interview where we had to present our project. So I thought, now this is too basic as compared to what the other peoples are constructing. While I was looking, well, I kept looking at my project once it was ready. Of course, growth was the very evident factor when you see a bud blooming and going into the process of becoming a flower. That's the most predictable explanation one could give. But how I tweaked my presentation at the time of presentation with the jury members is the shadow which it formed. Okay, so the growth is not only physical, but there is the shadow also grew. So that is your inner build up which one has also grows along with the physical thing which you actually see it up front. So that is what I think impressed my jury members, and that is what got me through. And I'm happy that that cracked the admission for me, that the cracked the entrance exams for me. And I belong to the pioneer batch of NIFT Mumbai. That was the first batch which came up in 1995, and I graduated in 1998. And from then on, I did take up, I was picked up by the institute recruitment season, where we launched a particular brand to do with women's wear. I worked with various other, I worked with export houses, where mood board presentation and trend forecasting was very, very, very important. So anything and everything can be achieved well once you research well. Your research cannot be shallow. You have to give ample amount of time in researching about your theme, researching about your trends, researching about your fabrics. Do not go on the face value of what is already available in the market. You as a designer are expected to come up with something new, with something which people have not seen before. So now on one hand, I'm saying that you have to create something new. On the second hand, I'm saying you have to follow what the trend is forecasting. And like I said, the fashion evolves, fashion keeps coming back. So keeping all these factors in mind, keeping the fashion cycle in mind, keeping the trends in mind, and keeping your own individual style, that is what is going to make you shine in the industry. Okay, so if you're designing a particular dress or a particular jacket in an eco-friendly fabric and a leaf print which is already there in the market, so what is it that you as a designer has to offer to the industry or to your customers is of course based upon your individual marvelness which you can come up with. So that is what is going to make you a unique designer. So I worked through the industry through various export houses and design houses. I was very, very fortunate to be working under the guidance of Mr. Wendell Rodrigues. He was my first mentor. For the first brand which I worked with was a brand called Barcode, which had the fortunate time that we launched this brand when there was no other brand who was doing urban wear for working class women. So that was their target client. So you also need to be very much aware of who your target client is and what you are designing for what kind of a profile. That's extremely important factor as well. So I did pretty well with that brand, and then simultaneously I got the opportunity to share my experiences with my own college, with many other private colleges which were there in Mumbai city, and that's kind of spread the word. And I was invited by many other fashion schools in Mumbai, and I over the period I realized that I enjoy teaching so much more than actually working in the industry. Of course, the industrial experience has definitely given me a lot of knowledge, a lot of confidence, and the zeal to be working in the industry. And that has kind of, so it works both ways. It's like a ping pong situation. You cannot not know what is happening in the industry and only become a fashion mentor or a fashion teacher. That cannot happen. You have to have information from both the worlds and make the best of it. And for me, teaching is it gives me a different kind of a high, because I meet these young minds every year. I meet people coming from different streams. We have different ideas, and there's so much to learn from them. And their enthusiasm is so contagious that actually kicks me into creating more, and it kicks me into researching more and doing my homework before I go for my class, so that I am in sync with what the Gen Z, which is really popular now, and what is running in their mind. So it's a fun profession that I'm in. I'm very fortunate, and you guys are fortunate as well, that you all have chosen a profession which is your hobby. So feel fortunate that you're in a field where you love going to work, where you are not forced to go to work. So take this in your stride and make the most of it. And I am very, very happy for IDL to invite me on this panel and to connect with each one of you on this presentation about fashion forecasting. I hope I have thrown some light onto an aspect which you must have already known, and little bit more information always helps. And never say no to learning. Never close your eyes. God has given us 2 years for a reason. We speak less, we hear more. So keep your antennas on at all the times. Keep receiving information and keep creating and keep designing at all times. I still at this stage of my life where I'm teaching design in institutes, and why I have learned a skill of macrame. If I may just put a little 2 minutes into that. So macrame is a very ancient method of knotting yarns and creating patterns. So I took it up and I practiced a lot, and I came up with my own design ideas, and now I have my own brand called Knotted with Love by Archana Nagpal. You can definitely peep into my Instagram handle. It would be lovely to have you as my Insta family, where I share my designs, I market my designs, and it has helped me grow, and it gives me so much joy and happiness to create a particular piece. Till date, I there has not been a single day in my life where I have not created something before I sleep, even if I do not get time to either make a neck piece or come up with a module or do a design plan or sketch something. I Even if I do a small doodle in my doodle book, I feel achieved, that I have achieved this by the end of the day. This is what I have created today. So feel fortunate, feel grateful that you belong to a creator's world, where you have so much to offer back to the industry, back to the audience, and let this relationship go on. All the very best to each one of you. May you all have a beautiful high flying career in design. All the very best, and I'm very much available on Instagram. Feel free to reach out to me. I would be very happy to connect with you. Thank you, Indian Design League, for this beautiful opportunity and this lovely platform. All the very best to you also as an institution. You all are doing great works. All the very best.
Now, we were knotted with you for this entire session, and with love and your knowledge, we got to know so many information. Some people not coming from the fashion industry also got to understand that we have to learn and we have to be updated with whatever is happening, not just the present, but we have to foresee the future as well. And Thank you so much, Archana. And I am definitely going to buy my tie and dye because I know for sure that it is going to stay with us for a long
Yes.
time now.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Archana. We had got a lot of comments and session reviews from the students. They loved it, and we would love to have you back again. Thank you so much for the time. Thank you so much for the session. We all loved it.
Thank you so much. Have a beautiful day ahead.
Have a beautiful day ahead. Thank you so much, Archana.